Okay, so today in the title, I want to talk to you about my experience with our 30-day program. So Lily and I practice everything that we preach. So of course I did, our own program that we brought together. I brought my side of things, and Lily also brought her side of things to this program. So trying it out for the first time was different. It was a different style of coaching. We had never worked together when we launched this first, which is why we had a beta round. And the reason we did the beta round is because Lily and I didn't even know if we were gonna like working together, to be honest. Turns out we loved it. I mean, we got our whole business and brand going now, and we saw some really incredible results. But let's backtrack a little bit, because I want to give you some context of where I was when I started this program, or some background information about me if you don't already know. I know we're constantly getting new people into this group, so yeah. So I grew up in a competitive environment with this need to prove myself consistently. So I have a background in Taekwondo, martial arts. I'm a 2nd degree black belt. Sorry, my dog. Loki, stop it. I'm a 2nd degree black belt and 3-time state champion and a world qualifier. So when kids were in school, or this was all in middle school, I was waking up at 5 a.m. I would go on runs, and then I would go to school for the middle of the day. And then I would, hold on, my dog is barking and I need to put on headphones not to listen. Just a second. Okay, so at 5 a.m. I would wake up, go for a 2-mile run. This is in middle school. And then I would go to school throughout the day, and then as soon as school was out, I would go home and do some homework for a couple hours. Then I had training, and so I'd go to the dojo and we would train, and I would do that for a couple more hours, and then I would get home, and then we would have maybe an hour of relaxation time. But during state championships and during worlds, I was again training. So backtrack, like this is the environment I grew up in. I'm very thankful for it because it instilled a lot of discipline in me, but it was extremely competitive. Eventually I kind of turned that into I took that in, and positive reinforcement, positive encouragement, successes, they started to come a little bit easier because of how much I would work for it. And it made me feel really, really good about myself. So every time I would do really well, I thought highly of myself, and I'd walk around with a little bit more confidence. And then when I wouldn't perform in the way that I wanted to, my confidence would start to drop. So this started to become kind of an addiction loop that ended up, filtering into my adult life. So the time that I started my first business, I expected reaching success to be simple and easy and no problems at all, because that's the loop that I started to have. And all of a sudden, that was not the case. And my ego encouraged me that exceeding other people's expectations was going to make myself feel higher. So if somebody would set the bar here, I would have to top that every time in order to feel good about myself. So if you are a high achiever at all, this probably relates to you as well. When somebody tells you they're gonna go, train for this long, and then you have to do it longer to feel good about yourself, or they're gonna tell you they do this diet for 7 days, but you did it for 8 days, and then you start to feel better. You start to put yourself on a high horse a little bit, and that's what I was doing. And I started to constantly fall short of these high expectations that I was setting for myself. So I started to experience a lot of shame. I would constantly be shaming myself. That inner voice in my head was telling myself that I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't doing enough. It started to make me very anxious. I would have so much anxiety because I was carrying around these lies about myself. And I didn't know what to do with all that, and then I got really overwhelmed to the point that I didn't even know what I was doing. So I created this 6-figure e-commerce business, and I've mentioned this before. I remember the point when I hit this 10K mark, and I didn't even feel anything. I wasn't excited. Like, I was just like, when am I gonna get to the next moment? Because this isn't enough. And it was constantly like, I need more, I need more, I need more. And I was never satisfied where I was at, which, you know, I think that a lot of women do deal with. So this high achieving attitude was driven by this underlying sense of shame and of fear. So if I can achieve all of my goals and be perfectly successful, then no one is going to shame me. I'm not going to shame myself, and then I'll be worthy of this acceptance. So I constantly was living in the state of trying to prove myself to everyone, and I was constantly disappointed. So yeah, this is how the pattern of just high achieving kind of began. And again, this has served me in so many ways. I would not be here today if, you know, this pattern didn't arise. And I think that women who work really hard, like, we're a special breed. But there is, you know, there's a balance that you have to find. And this is kind of the story of me not having this balance. So when I had my e-commerce store, you know, I was in this high achieving mindset. I wasn't satisfied by anything. I was constantly on go mode. I was constantly pushing. Nothing felt good. I started losing emotions. I started feeling depressed. And then I didn't take care of it. I just shoved all of those feelings under the rug. And I didn't want to see them. I didn't want to look at them. And that is what I did for about a year straight, until the point where I broke. And I snapped. And this is the point where rock bottom hit for me. I literally did not want to do anything with this brand anymore. So I ended up quitting it, selling it, getting rid of it. I didn't want it. I moved back in with my parents, and I had to refine myself. But the thing is I was already a personal trainer. I had my certification. I already did a bodybuilding show, bikini show. I understood nutrition. I understood healthy habits. I understood mindset. I've done personal development work, but I was so wrapped up in my own stuff that I couldn't even see clearly, and I wasn't training anymore, and I wasn't nourishing my body anymore, and now I was just surrounded by a bunch of brain fog, so I wasn't even functioning at my best anymore, and this had just spiraled and spiraled and spiraled to the point where I snapped, and something had to give. So we talk about this all the time. You know, you can reach this level of success by working really hard, by grinding really hard, by doing things that, you know, we call them bros or entrepreneurs, or the male biology is what we mean by bros. The male biology can perform, but what does it take away from you when you don't tune into your feminine energy, when you don't tune into your hormonal cycle? So this inspired me a ton when I was doing my deep diving. This inspired me because I was like, if I know the right tools of training, if I know the right tools of how to eat, if I know the right tools of habits, and I've done some personal development, I mean, by no means was I perfect or knew all of the answers, but I knew how to get myself out of this, and I wasn't doing anything. What about the woman who may not understand the right training regimen, who may not understand the right nutrition regimen, who may not understand, like, self-doubt and self-sabotage and how to build habits? What about her? What about this woman here who you know, doesn't have all of these tools? And I started to think a lot about that, and then I started to really cater my audience. The people that I personally wanted to work with were these women who, you know, were high achievers, who were working really hard, but they just don't have the right tools. And to create this roadmap that, you know, Lily has experienced as well, but I have also experienced, to create this roadmap to help you along your journey of entrepreneurship, of owning a business, of being a high achieving career woman, or being, you know, I'm not a mom, but Lily is a mom and she brings a lot of that to us, and finding the balance, no longer living in this high masculine state. So I did a reset. You know, reset is our 30-day holistic health transformation program. And I did this, you know, after my experience with owning businesses in the past. So when I did reset, I was in the middle of a bodybuilding show. So this is, this is a couple years after I restarted my businesses, refound myself, realigned myself, had done a lot of internal work. I was, creating this with Lily, and I needed to go through it before, I give it to anybody else. Of course, you got to do your own personal due diligence. You need to make sure that your program is the best solution for another woman. So I was in the middle of my bikini prep when I did this, and I remember, being like a month out or so, and these women that I was following, they were tired, they were exhausted, they were just kind of slugging through, and I was on our nutrition protocol, and I was lifting heavier, I was working out harder, I was full of life, full of energy, because I was not only like properly nourishing myself, but I was also using, our protocol to pump myself with a ton of nutrients to cleanse out whatever wasn't serving my body anymore. And the results were insane. I mean, I won the show, which is fantastic. And we have had, a ton of people who have previously won their show doing a similar nutrition protocol. So this is very science-based and evidence-based system. So with that being said, these shifts that I have been able to accomplish are aligning me more in my authentic self, without this constant feeling of stress or burnout, and I'm able to achieve way more with greater purpose and greater happiness than, I have been able to in the past. So that is my little spiel. And then as far as Reset goes, we are launching our group program on July 5th. So if you do want more details on what is all included in Reset, what our nutrition protocol is all about, what we will walk you through in these 30 days of coaching, then go ahead and leave a comment below, and we'll have one of our team members or myself or Lily will reach out to you, and we'll send over a link, and this will give you everything that you need to know. So if you are looking for a little, kick in the butt, if you are ready to restart on your goals, on your habits, let us know, because we are here to help you. And again, Lily and I would never ever give out anything that we haven't tried for ourselves, and anything that hasn't gotten really incredible results. So that is all. We got a shorter Facebook Live today. Thank you everyone for watching, and I will see you next time.